So here we're going to make a project and we're going to set it up as an empty universal project. And the reason for this is we're going to import the Eddie's VR kit, which is my new kit, and it has to be a universal render pipeline when you start. And you just create an empty project, give it a name, and then once the project opens up, you can import the Eddie's VR kit package. Now the package is going to set up all the settings because it creates all the project settings as well, and then it's just ready to use. Now, Eddie's VR kit used to be called the VR Starter Kit for Oculus, and it was Oculus specific. But now we've changed the name, and the reason for this is we use Unity's XR, and that allows us to use the Valve Index hardware, HTC Vive hardware, or any of the Oculus hardware. Pretty much anything that Unity XR can use, this kit now can use. So you can see that we're in the start scene for the demo game that comes with the kit, but I actually want to show you some other things first. So here's the Eddie's VR kit folder, and underneath it you're going to see a player folder. And inside of here we're going to find our prefabs folder. And you'll see that there are two prefabs, the needed prefab and the player prefab. Now these are all you need to create a VR scene. I'll just make a floor here real quick. And if we drag these in, and if we delete the default camera we have here, you can see that every time you make a new scene, there's a camera called main camera. And we just want to get rid of that real quick. So I'll select it and hit the delete key. Okay, you're literally ready now to run in VR. If you hit play, put on your headset, you're able to walk around, jump, do whatever you want. So this is the bare minimum of what you need to do a VR setup, and it takes all of 5 seconds. Under the player folder, you're going to find another folder called scenes, and in it is just a little test room. Test room VR kit is the name of it, and you can see we got the player and the needed prefab. We also have a few setups to show you how to build certain things. Here's a pull lever rig. We have a button rig. And we have a slide lever rig as well. Also in the room are quite a few melee weapons. We have a kung fu sword. We have a mace. And we have a battle axe. You can see here it's called the skull axe. Now one thing you want to remember is that all the grabbable weapons that you use in Melee, their layer is set from default to grabbable. So just make sure that you do that whenever you decide to make a weapon that you want to pick up and carry around, or an object that you want to pick up and carry around. You can see on the right hand side that their layer is always set to grabbable on whatever the colliders are set on. Now let's go back to the demo game. So we can see that our game is actually composed of 4 scenes: start, demo scene, end, and U1. And in the build settings here, you can see that we already got them loaded. We have the test room in there as well, but it's deactivated. But let's open up the demo scene. Now the demo scene has some of the same objects that the test room has, but they have additional code so they function in the game. So you want to look at them inside. And we have 2 pistols as well as the melee weapons. Now, of course, the player is in there and the needed prefab is in there as well. So you also see some objects to knock about inside the scene if we choose to. Now I'm going to turn off the spawners just by deactivating it, and that will stop the monsters from attacking us while we look around. Now let's go in the game. Now you can actually use force grab. You can hold your palm out, pull the trigger, and the object will float to you. Then you use the left and right grip buttons on the side of the controller to grab them when they're close enough to your hand. Or you can just pick up objects, like here's a gun. You can switch hands with objects. Now be aware, I turned all the sound off in the game. So again, hold your palm out, pull the trigger, it will float towards your hand, and then use the grip button to grab it. Now you turn with the left joystick going left and right. You go forward and backwards with the left joystick by going forwards and backwards. And you strafe side to side with the right joystick going left and right. There's also a teleport mode, which I will show you in a different video because I didn't record it on this video. And then you can see we can knock things about. We can jump by pressing the right joystick. So you have all the movement as you would in any first-person shooter, but in VR. Now, if we take a look at the player again, and I'll just put it in a new scene here, you'll notice that inside, it actually has a camera marked Camera Desktop. And the reason for this is if you build this out for any desktop situation like Rift S, and you set the headset down, it'll actually use the VR desktop script here on the right to switch to a standard Unity camera so you can continue playing with the headset off. Now, the functionality on this has been greatly improved since the last version. The code for moving the player around with the keyboard has been cleaned up, added to, and in any case that we can, it matches the movement you use with the VR controller sticks as well. But now you have a lot more options on how you can use the keyboard to move around. And the reason this exists is because of a program called Sanzar, which I'm really impressed with, which allows you to play with the headset on or off. So this is kind of a starting point, and you control it with that VR desktop script. Now, if you don't need this, if you're using like a Quest or something, you can just deactivate the VR desktop script. Now, if we look deeper in the player, you'll see a standard Unity XR rig. And there we have the master controller underscore VR kit. And you'll see a lot of matching items that match the desktop version as well. But we've added sensitivity for the sticks on the controllers. You again have the ability to see all the movement states. There's Boolean variables for all of them. We have a ground checker, which currently uses the default and the ground tag as well. And then we have values and variables that show you which controller buttons are being pressed as well. Now, when you want to teleport, you can use the left primary button, which is the B key on the Oculus, to go into teleport mode. So we keep movement for the keyboard or VR separate, but unified as much as possible. So that's an overview of the new Eddie's VR kit, which is replacing our Oculus VR starter kit. And since we have the ability now to use any hardware that Unity XR uses, we're going to make sure that we throw in as many features from Unity XR as possible, and also as many features as we can from Unity's example called the Escape Room as well. And we'll continue to update this every 2 weeks to every month as time allows. And I hope you guys enjoy the new kit.